everybody. Today we're here with Tecle Gebremicheal, who is a candidate for the Boise Council. We're going to do a little get to know video. Hope you guys enjoy it and get to know Tecle.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your campaign.
Well, my name is Tecle. I'm a former refugee from Ethiopia. Before I came here, I lived in refugee camp for 8 years, and I got the ultimate opportunity to come to the United States in August 2012. So I've been here since then.
Nice. We need to go into the story of how you came here, because I love hearing stories of people of like how they came here, and I will share with you like a little bit about how we came here. It's pretty interesting. But how was your childhood? Let's like go back to way back, like
Yes.
little Tecle. How was your childhood? Where did you grow up?
That's one of the things that really connected to Boise. I was born and raised in one small village in northern Ethiopia.
Mm-hmm.
My parents were farmers, and my father was a farmer, and my mother was pretty much an African woman, a wife, and who does a lot of things at home, which is the culture in Africa. And I was a third child out of 7 siblings. My mother has 7 children.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Amazingly, my grandmother had 12. So
Oh my god, that is crazy.
So my wife and I are not going to that. So we're minimizing the child that we're gonna have. So we don't have any child yet.
Oh my gosh, what a strong woman.
But yeah, my childhood was pretty much in a farm, and I learned the hard work of farming when I was young, helping my father on the field and my brothers, and working, going after animals on the mountains and rivers or in Africa. And as soon as I got here, that was the connection. Basically, just the mountains and the rivers and the hills that we have really just made an instant connection to the area.
Yeah, Boise is very beautiful. It's very like the weather is also really nice and stuff.
It is, yes. One of the story that I told about that place was the mountains that we had back home in Ethiopia are a lot bigger than the mountains that we have here. So the village was surrounded by 3 tall mountains. And growing up, I would see the sun rising from the one mountain and setting to the other mountain. So my initial knowledge back then, even when I was like 8, 7 years old, was we're the only people that exist, and the sun is only just serving us, because I see it from the rising from the one mountain and setting to the other. So I was saying it's just circling around us.
Yeah.
So one day, one morning, I went with my older brother to the mountain. We were after animals, and I was so excited because I was thinking that as soon as I get at the top of the mountain, I'm going to touch the sun. So I would just keep bringing that, and we went to the mountain, and the sun was way far. And I see unlimited land, and I said like, wow.
Did you try to touch it? Did you try to jump?
I just see it like way far. I think like it was coming from the mountain, and in the morning you see the reddish color, and I think like it's just a power where the sun is coming from the mountain. But that was way far, and I said, what's happening? So you can imagine like 7, 8 years of kids right now with the knowledge that they have in technology in school.
Oh my god.
But that was my initial knowledge about the world and the people when I was 7 years old.
I feel like that's such a beautiful life. Like I feel like now people crave that. Now, like I was just saying to my husband, like I want to go somewhere where like there's no technology, there's just like land and
real
sun
life,
and no internet and just people. Yeah, that is a beautiful childhood. So how many kids were in your family? Older than you, and how many younger than you?
2 older than me, and then 4 younger than me. So we were 7 total.
Boys and girls?
1 girl. The girl is my younger, so I feel like I'm special because she's my younger. And, yes.
So you brought a girl after you.
Yes.
In my culture, they say that a girl is special because we prefer boys. A girl is special if they bring a boy after themselves.
Oh,
so
okay.
you're the opposite of that. So you are the special
I feel like
one.
I'm the special. So something that also like a big lesson in my entire life is my grandma has a big place in my life, and she helped us a lot. And I would always ask something, and of course I have a sister younger than me, and my grandmother would say, do you need this? If I ask food, do you need this, or her needs it? And I don't really say anything after that, because she taught me about priority, who deserves it better. It's not just always asking for like things, but always just looking into others, into others' life, and see who deserves it better. And life is all about priority, and sometimes giving to those who deserve it and to those who need it.
Needed the most.
Needed the most.
Yeah,
yes.
even if that's, even if you want it, but you should give to somebody that needs it.
Needs it, yes.
Not just want it. That's so beautiful. How about your siblings? Did you guys have any sibling rivalries, or did you have like the smart one and like the silly one? And
yeah, it was funny. We all loved to play. We all all of our were boys, and we were doing a lot of work in the house. But I think for some reason we grew up in a family where my father was very different. In Africa, the culture is very different. Men don't really cook or don't really do a lot of things in the kitchen. But growing up, I saw my dad cooking food if my mom is sick or if he's out, and I had that like special experience in my life. I don't see that in other households in Africa, or other men doing it. So I always ask that why he was special, and he never beat his kids. That's also something that helps us to have confidence and to be really just a positive son to him. My mother would beat us though, but he always beat us when he was going out like for weeks outside the village, and she's making sure that we're not telling him when he came back in the afternoon.
So your mom was the boss then?
Yes, my mom
Your
was
mom
the boss,
was the
yes.
disciplinary.
Yes.
But isn't it so special for people that don't understand like our cultures, that like come from these cultures that are like very male dominated, and you get like, my dad was the same way. He bathed us, he cooked, he cleaned. He was, when he was around, because my dad was also military, but when you get to grow up like that, I feel like it shifts your perspective. For you, especially as a male coming from that culture, I think that a lot of people might think that, there's such a difference between men and women have their place and men have their place. But growing up with a dad like that, you probably saw it a lot more equal.
I did.
Or we should ask your wife.
I know, yes.
Yes, we should ask. No.
That's a good question. Not only just the things what he was doing, he will talk to us about different issues. There was no education in that village, and we didn't go to school when we were in that village. And he would have like talk about different issues after dinner, or if he thinks that we did something wrong, he would take time to talk about it. We make sure that we understood, and that really left us with give us an opportunity to build a communication skills about when issues rise up. You don't just solve issues with violence or with power. It has to be through conversation and understanding, and really just everybody has a place to talk. That was the unique thing in my family, specifically in my father growing up.
You are so lucky.
I was so lucky.
You are such a lucky child, because I feel like you don't get that a lot. You don't get that special bond with your parents where they, from a very young age, they treat you like an adult. And it speaks volume for where you are now, because I think that, for what you do now and how you live your life, he had such an impact on the person you became now. Yeah. So you said that you didn't go to school when you were in your village. So when was the first time you went to school, or where was it?
So my aunt came to visit us. She lived in a bigger city, and that's what she said. I'm gonna take Tecle to live with me and go to school. So I was picked, and I went with her to city. It's about 100 mile away, and that's what I introduced to education. And I start school at age 11, first grade.
First grade. Were you the oldest kid in the?
I was the oldest. I was always like in Africa. We have still the process of like being a monitor in a class. Like you will be just in charge of the class, and I was always in charge. But yeah, and I was the smartest. I think that's what I see coming here. We send our kids at very young age, and sometimes we struggle with the education system. And I knew what I was doing. I knew what I was focusing, and I think that's something that was helpful.
You had that drive because you didn't have it at such a young age, so you had that drive that when you went to school, you knew why you were there and what you were doing.
Yes, so it was funny, and so I did not finish the whole year. So in the middle of the year, I had like high grade, and they transferred me to second grade. And then in 1 year, so I become a third grader. So that's one of the unique stories as well.
That's so great. So why were you picked from all of your other siblings?
I don't know. I have no idea. I think I was just lucky. It's I did not.
She just saw it in you.
But I believe sometimes I think nature has its own way of life. Yeah. Sometimes we plan a lot. We make plans and goals, but also really just I believe in faith, and so I think that's probably the road that I'm supposed to go, and
it's meant to be.
Yes.
Meant to be. She saw that you were the smartest, and then
I don't know
was
if
like,
I'm gonna agree
he's gonna be. You don't want your siblings to hear this, huh?
Yes, I know. I don't know if they would be agreeing on that, but.
So did you finish high school in Ethiopia then?
No, I did not finish high school. So there was a war between Ethiopia and Eritrea that was broke in 1998. So that affected the area where I was, and I had to I got separated with my family again, and I ended up in the other country in Eritrea. So my family was on the other side of the border, which is where the war was, and in the country I did not have my family, so I went. They got me into orphanage, so I lived in orphanage, and I still continue my education, but I only pushed to 7th grade, and then I left Eritrea again due to the political environment in the country, and ended up in refugee camp. So the refugee camp where I was did not have any further education. There was only elementary school organized by IRC. So I lived there for 8 years, and I did not have an opportunity to continue my education. So I came here at age 21 with 7 years of school.
So you came through that refugee camp.
Yes.
Then, and when you say your family was on the other side, you mean your aunts and everybody?
Everybody.
Not just your
I was just the only.
siblings.
Yes, I was the only one. Just got lost and ended up in the other country. And
how old were you when that happened?
I was 13.
How was that? Was that like really crazy to be 13 and be separated from your family completely?
It was really crazy. It's just you always dream about like meeting your family again, but it's both sometimes, and at the same time you don't really understand what's happening.
You're in survival mode.
You're in the survival mode, and you're just always playing. And if you got food, that's all matters. And you have friends that are your age, and you go to school, you play, and live just life is just like that. And
that just becomes like the new normal.
The new normal after those, and you left like you were lucky enough because you survived a war, and you see other people just dying and enduring, and if you see the worst, then the life you have right now, I think you become thankful even though you're not with your family, or you don't have enough food or enough clothes.
You're just lucky to be alive and have all of your limbs.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.